Titans. Dude, if I so help me God, I'm looking at the camera. Trey Turner, if you sign while I'm in Florida, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be pissed.
You know what's gonna happen. You know because that's when the winter meetings are too. Like you know it's gonna
Oh
happen.
my God.
You know it's gonna happen then.
I gotta have a talk with Ashlyn. Be like, babe, are you? Well, well, well. What did I say? What did I say in the last podcast that feels like forever ago? I said, and I have the timestamp up here. It was at 34 minutes and 50 seconds in to episode 23, entitled Phillies Offseason Shenanigans featuring Matt Saporsky. I said I will be away in Florida for a couple weeks, to which he said, you know, that's when everything is going to go down. And lo and behold, did it? Did it? I mean, I think Trey Turner's a Philly, Taijuan Walker's a Philly, Matt Strom's a Philly. They gave it a lot of contract extensions to people. Oh man. Any Hoosers, we're back finally. Feels like it's been forever. I was away in Florida for a couple weeks. I was in Disney World, which was awesome. And of course, like my luck and like everything else, everything happened. The Phillies had themselves an off season. Well, obviously it's not done yet. I've been updating the Instagram with some, kind of like breaking news stuff, kind of starting something different while I was away, something to keep me updated, keep the feed going, to keep, relevancy and stuff like that. Cause I didn't want to go radio silent because I want to be an outlet and in whatever way possible of that being. But we have a lot to talk about. We have, like I mentioned before, Trey Turner's a Philly, Taijuan Walker's a Philly, Matt Strom's a Philly. There's just a lot of good stuff happening. So this episode is just basically going to be catching up on everything I missed. And if you haven't already, follow this .net Phillies. I'm sure if you're watching this, you can see it. I keep everything updated on there. You can see I had the Sam Fold stuff today, the Noah Syndergaard, Bassett, all that fun stuff. So basically, I'm just going to go over what I've posted in the past couple weeks and kind of give my more in-depth thoughts about it. So the first thing, it's not directly Phillies related, but Zach Eflin signed a 3-year, $40 million contract with the Tampa Bay Rays, which also kind of surprised me because it was the biggest deal in Rays history. And the Phillies just give that out like it's nothing. We love John Middleton for that. But I like that move a lot for Tampa Bay. A lot of upside. You saw how good that sinker was moving. And anybody who goes to the Rays, there's a reason the Rays want him. The Rays like them. If the Rays like a guy, probably just going to bring his market up more. It hasn't been confirmed, or if the Phillies were even in on Zach Eflin, if they were considering bringing him back cheaper than his club option. We don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know. But 3 years, $40 million. I'm happy for him. I love Zach Eflin. He's been one of my favorite players for years. He just loved this city and his story. He was traded here for Jimmy Rollins, and everybody loved Jimmy Rollins, and he dealt with injuries, and then he comes in last year, started as a starter, had his knee issues again, which is a reoccurring thing, which I think also deterred the Phillies from giving him a deal like that. And then comes back and Rob Thompson puts him in the bullpen. Because at that point, it was Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Falter, Syndergaard at that point. Gibson was also in there. So Zach Eflin didn't have a place in the rotation. So Thompson puts him in the bullpen, and he performed very well out of the bullpen. Obviously it was shaky, but it's a new role. Like it's tough, but considering, I think he did a good job. And Rays gave him that money to be a starter. He's not going to be a reliever out of the bullpen if the Rays are giving him $40 million. So I'm happy for him. I wish him nothing but the best of luck, and I look forward to seeing what he does there in Tampa Bay. So the next move happened a couple days later. Kyle Gibson and the Orioles agreeing on a 1-year contract. sayonara, Kyle Gibson. I'm glad I never have to watch you pitch for this team again. And like I've said in all the other episodes, I like Kyle Gibson, the guy. I hate Kyle Gibson, the pitcher. I think Kyle Gibson's a very nice guy. He seems like everybody loves him in the clubhouse. He had a lot of foundation stuff and just seems like an overall just a really, really great guy. However, on the pitching side, he had a 5 ERA this year. Wasn't very consistent. There's a reason that Rob Thompson only used him once or twice in the playoffs. It's because his arm was dead. From a baseball standpoint for the Orioles, it's a good move. It's a good depth piece. I don't think Kyle Gibson's necessarily moves the needle that much for them, but it's a veteran guy. There's a young group of guys over there. It's a veteran presence for them. And who knows if Kyle Gibson can, maybe have a 4-5 for that team and eat 150 plus innings. Who knows? I mean, I like the Orioles a lot. They're a fun team to watch. They're a young team. And I think bringing in that veteran guy like Kyle Gibson was a solid move for them. So that was the next move. And then we get to the big boy. And I'll give you a little story. So we were in Disney World. We were at Animal Kingdom. If everybody knows, all the parks in Disney. I was at Animal Kingdom. I was waiting in line to get into the Lion King show that they have there. And there was a rock. And I have a picture of it on, I saved it in my Snap story because it was funny. If you can see it, where I found out Trey Turner was a Philly, I was waiting for my girlfriend to meet me at the show. And my Will Core, who was on the show before, called me and I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, do you not know? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, check Twitter right now. And then I just see the passing bomb, Trey Turner to the Phillies. I lost my mind. I was so excited. I was happy. And that's when I made that post. I mean, what more can you say? Trey Turner was my number one guy this offseason. His fit in the Phillies uniform, his fit here in Philly just made too much sense for it not to happen. And I even said it in the last episode. I said Trey Turner basically is a Philly. All you have to do is all he has to do is sign, and he did. 11 years, $300 million. It's similar to the Harper contract in the sense that he took a lot of years to lower the AAV. He's only getting 27 a year, which for a guy like Trey Turner, who everybody thought on the market would be getting 30, 35 million a year, you're only getting him for 27. And yes, I say only 27 million, and that's a lot of money. But for a guy in baseball terms, that's cheap. That's a cheap contract for a guy who is a top 10 player in baseball, in my opinion. Maybe a little aggressive, but no, screw it. I'm sticking with my stance. Trey Turner's a top 10 player. I mean, he hits for a high average, has some pop in the bat, plays elite defense at shortstop, has speed, everything you want. And especially with the new rules with picking off guys and the bigger bags, like Trey Turner could steal 40 bases this year, for God's sakes. It just made so much sense for this team. And this is Dave Dombrowski going, well, more so John Middleton just giving Dombrowski the keys to the car and just saying, go do what you got to do to bring this championship, because that team that we had in 2020 was 2 wins away from winning the World Series. And I know I sound like a broken record there, but it's the truth. They were so close. And now you're just getting better. You're adding Trey Turner to a lineup that already has Realmuto, already has Hoskins. Castellanos is going to bounce back. Schwarber, Marsh, Bohm. Like, it's unreal. And you're adding Harper in the latter half of the season. Harper got Tommy John. I don't know if that news came out before I left. I can't remember, but Harper got Tommy John. He's going to be out for the first half of the year. And Trey Turner's going to pick up some of that slack. I mean, I am very excited to see Trey Turner play baseball here. It's going to be great. We're going to have, I don't know if the plan is to bat him lead off, to have Schwarber still be lead off. I mentioned the lineup in the last episode because I rewatched it before I started recording, because I'm like, did I say that the Trey Turner news would break while I'm in Florida? I did, which is hilarious. I'm going to see if I'm going to try to edit this a little bit and add that clip before the podcast starts. So if it's in there, future me, it's hilarious and I have the proof. If it's not, just take my word for it. And I gave you the timestamp at the beginning of the episode specifically for that reason, in case I can't figure out how to put the video beforehand. But I can't be happier. I'm glad Trey Turner's a Philly. It's a perfect fit. He's going to add so much to this lineup, and it's just going to be great. He already has great relationships with Schwarber, with Harper, and the guys are just going to love him. You know, you saw there's that picture that was going around with him, Stott, and Bohm in the infield, and they were laughing and having fun with each other. So I'm very excited that Trey Turner is indeed a Philly. And then this move, I did mention it. I did say if we sign Trey Turner, look for them to sign like a Jameson Taillon, a Chris Bassett, or the guy they signed to a 4-year, $78 million contract. Was it 78 million? 72 million? Professional over here. 4 years, 72 million for Taijuan Walker. I am a big fan of this move. I think that, you know, you're basically, everybody's like, why'd you give that much money to a guy like Taijuan Walker, who he's been fine. You know, I'm not going to say he's been great. I'm not going to say he's been bad. Like, he's fine. He's a good third, low end third, high end 4, which is exactly what we need him to be. And I think there's a reason. In the press conference, Taijuan Walker seemed to emphasize that Caleb Cotham wants them to throw the splitter more of his deception stuff, not really rely on his fastball, which makes me very excited because Caleb Cotham is one of the smartest baseball people in the sport. He understands, you know, pitchers and you know, pitch usage. Look at a guy like Andrew Bellotti, who was basically nobody, and he pitched to a 3.5 this year. He was a huge part of that bullpen, but he basically said just throw, I think it was his was slider more, just throw your slider over and over. I think that's the pitch. I could be wrong, but he said throw one of your pitches a lot more than you have been, and you'll show success, because his, you know, mythos, in my opinion, is throw your best pitch the most, because that's the reason why it's your best pitch. Look at a guy like Wheeler, where his fastball is his best pitch, and Wheeler throws like 90% fastballs now. And for this, I'm not seeing like a Zach Wheeler type leap from Taijuan Walker. Obviously, Wheeler was fine with the Mets. He had like a mid-3 ERA throughout his career with the Mets. Then he gets to Philly and he takes that leap, similar to how when Garrett Cole was on the Pirates, he always had the stuff but couldn't really figure it out. He moves over to Houston and he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, who's also a fraud now, Garrett Cole. Just kidding. Well, maybe not. I don't know. But, you know, it's tough being the second best pitcher on your team. Now maybe the third best pitcher on your team, and you're getting $35 million a year. Anyway, this isn't a Yankees podcast. I'm saying that there's a reason that they wanted Taijuan Walker, because Jameson Taillon signed for a very similar contract with the Cubs, and I don't know if his asking price with the Phillies would have been more, but I think there's a reason why they wanted a Taijuan Walker as opposed to a Jameson Taillon, and that makes me excited because I think that they are going to be a lot. You know, you go into any, I'm not saying a playoff series, but you go into a 3-game series, you say like a Nola, Wheeler, I mean, probably more so Wheeler, Suarez, and then you go to Walker. I mean, you got a chance to win. You have a chance to win those games, which is good. Because we really didn't have a fourth starter. As before the Walker signing, I mean, you looked at a rotation of Nola, Wheeler, Suarez, Falter, maybe Painter, and relying on Andrew Painter to be a big impact guy, I think is a mistake. And I'm glad to see that seemingly they're not going to do that. Obviously, I think we're going to see Andrew Painter this year. I think he's going to be up at some point, and I think he's going to be, I don't know. All signs point to him being absolutely elite, but we have these elite guys down in the minors that get to the majors and don't show up. So my hopes are pretty high for Andrew Painter. I think he's going to be incredible for a long time here in Philly. I just don't know the impact he's going to have this season. If he is going to be up, do you piggyback him with Bailey Falter? So do you have like a kind of like how Spencer Howard and Ranger Suarez were in the 2020 season and in the beginning of the 2021 season? You kind of had that piggyback. So maybe we see something like that with Bailey Falter and Andrew Painter. Like, I like Bailey Falter. I've liked what I've seen from Bailey Falter. So if you have a rotation of Nola, Wheeler, Suarez, Walker, and Falter to break up those lefties, I mean, that gives you a chance to win, every game. The other move, which I thought was interesting, which I really, really like, because smart baseball teams and smart baseball people like him a lot. And the Phillies signed left-handed pitcher Matt Strahm to a 2-year, $15 million contract. And Strahm is fine. He has a lot of the similar makings to Jose Alvarado, not throwing nearly as hard, but in the sense that he has a plus fastball, but he just doesn't know where it's going. And I trust the Phillies development guys to figure out a guy like that, because Jesus, if they can make Jose Alvarado the best pitcher in the sport, best reliever, one of the best relievers in the sport, I think I trust them to turn anybody into absolutely dominant relievers. And, there's a reason they gave him 2 years. I think if this was a what if move, they would have only given him one, but I like the 2 years, 15 million, low risk, high reward. If Matt Strahm could figure it out. I mean, Matt Strahm was not bad last year. He was a starter. They converted him into a reliever. He had a 3.38 ERA in 44 and 2/3 innings, which isn't bad. Like, it's not bad. And I think he's only going to get better. There's a reason the Phillies wanted him. Smart baseball people love him. Smart baseball teams really wanted him. And he wants to win. He was very vocal about that. In one of the interviews, he said, I'm focused about winning. I'm not focused about me. I think this is the best chance I have to win is here. And I agree with him. So for Matt Strahm, he basically replaces Brad Hand. Thank God I never have to see Brad Hand pitch again. And having two hopefully lethal lefty options out of the bullpen is only going to help. You basically have a bullpen now. I would sign another guy. I think we need one or two more pieces, maybe via trade. There's a certain Australian reliever on the White Sox whose name's been floated around with the Phillies, Liam Hendriks. But you have a bullpen, you have Brogdon, Bellotti, Alvarado, Seranthony, now Strahm, Nick Nelson is still back there. You need a couple more shutdown guys, which is why I think Liam Hendriks makes a lot of sense. I don't know what the White Sox asking price for Liam Hendriks would be. My guess is they would want a Mick Abel. They would want a Griff McGarry. I think Andrew Painter is untouchable. I don't think the Phillies would ever think about trading Andrew Painter. I think if you have to trade one of Mick Abel or Griff McGarry, I don't know if I love it, only because it's for a rental in Liam Hendriks, unless it's like a trade and sign, like give him a couple more years. But I don't know. That's enough Liam Hendriks talk. I hope he might be a Philly. This one I'm not really going to talk about. Chris Bassett, 3 years, 63 to the Blue Jays. That was one of the guy that the Phillies kind of flirted with, but he did have those qualifying offers attached to him. And Dave Dombrowski was pretty vocal because Trey Turner was a qualifying offer guy. And for those of you who don't know, if a team gives you a qualifying offer and you decline it, if the team who signs you has to sacrifice a draft pick or two, I think it's 1 or 2 draft picks. For signing you. So to already do it with one player is, fine, whatever, but to do it to 2 is a little risky. So I like them not going after another qualifying offer guy. Dave Dombrowski said he wasn't going to do it because they already did it with Trey Turner. So I wasn't really too worked up over Chris Bassett signing with the Blue Jays. It was fine. It's a great move for the Toronto. I like that move a lot. You pair him with Alek Manoah, with Kevin Gausman. Jose Barrios cannot nearly be as bad as he was this year. So I like that move for the Blue Jays a lot. They're giving up the qualifying offers to the Mets. So whatever, it doesn't really move the needle for me, but it was something I did make note of just because a lot of people, he posted on his Instagram story, the skyline of Philly, and a lot of people thought it was going to be like a similar thing to what Nick Castellanos did before his news broke, which he posted a picture of him sitting on the Rocky stairs. And looking over Philly. And then 10 minutes later, the news broke that Nick Castellanos signed with the Phillies. A lot of people thought it was going to be the same thing, but it turns out he was just in he was in Philly for a wedding. So there was no relevancy to the Phillies there. The next, I got 2 more moves to talk about that happened, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, talk about life and stuff. Noah Syndergaard to the Dodgers, 1 year, $13 million. I'm a little upset that the Phillies didn't give him another chance, but I understand why they didn't, especially if it's for 13 million. I don't think a guy like Noah Syndergaard is worth that much money. The upside with him is insane because if you look over the years, guys who've had Tommy John surgery, their second year back is always better, and they're only going to get better with that new ligament. And the Dodgers are the best team at developing guys. And I think if I'm Noah Syndergaard, if the Dodgers give me a chance, I am going there because if the Dodgers can't fix Noah Syndergaard, then I think he's just going to go bouncing around everywhere, team to team. So I think the Dodgers give Syndergaard the best chance to get a multi-year big contract at the end of the season. His time here, he was short. Like he was only here for half a season. They traded. Was he the Mickey Moniak? No, that was for Marsh. Oh, it was for Logan O'Hoppe. That's all right. He was for Logan O'Hoppe. A lot of people thought it was an overpay, or was it? I'm sorry. One of them was for Mickey Moniak. I don't think it was. I'm sorry. No, it was for Noah Syndergaard. So it was Noah Syndergaard for Mickey Moniak, and it was Brandon Marsh for Logan O'Hoppe. I'm sorry. There was two different trades the Phillies did with the Angels. A lot of people thought that was an overpay, or that was more so for O'Hoppe. I mean, I like the move. I liked the move at the time. I think Mickey didn't really fit in here. He just needed a fresh start, and I don't know the Marsh move came first, so Mickey was kind of it was on borrowed time, and then an hour later he was traded to Los Angeles. So I like the move. Syndergaard was fine. He did exactly what we wanted him to do here. He didn't really move the needle. He was a fine starter. He was really good in the postseason. He did his job. He did exactly what we needed him to do. It seemed like the clubhouse liked him, and this is going to be the weirdest sentence I've ever said, but the Philadelphia loved Noah Syndergaard, which is a sentence that if you showed me this video 3 years ago, I would have said, what in God's name happened? But Noah Syndergaard was good. I liked Noah Syndergaard. I liked what he was able to do here. I wish him nothing but the best. I think he's going to be really good for that Dodgers team. I think he's going to earn himself a big contract, and I hope he does. I'm a big Noah Syndergaard fan. I wish him nothing but the best of luck in Los Angeles, except if it's against the Phillies. If it's against the Phillies, then please be bad, Noah. You owe us one. And then the news today, a few hours ago, the Phillies extended GM Sam Fuld, assistant general managers Ned Rice and Jorge Velandia. I'm sorry. I should have looked up how to pronounce that. It's through the 2025 season. I mentioned on my Instagram. I love the move a lot. Keeping everybody intact, making Dave Dombrowski's making sure that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's kind of like we're all on the same page, unlike Andy MacPhail and Matt Klentak, who had like 10 different pages on 10 different people, and that's why the development sucked. Dave Dombrowski's making sure that all the guys in the front office, down in the dugout, in the minor league system are all on the same page, which I love. I love seeing guys all together because they're all on one mission. They know they're going to be here for a little while, so they might as well do the best job they have. They might as well do the best job they can. I'm a huge fan. I like Sam Fuld. I think he's a very smart baseball fan, or baseball guy. I say baseball fan. I think he's a very smart baseball guy, and he's done fine. Like, he's obviously not in charge of the team. Dave Dombrowski is, but I think learning from Dave Dombrowski, who's a Hall of Fame general manager, he's a Hall of Fame baseball guy, I think is smart. So hopefully, I think the idea is when Dave Dombrowski, who also got a contract extension, I think they're the 2027 season, 26 season, I think that extension is for. Hopefully when Dave Dombrowski leaves, Sam Fuld can take the keys and know exactly what to do. I'm a huge fan. And yeah, I mean, anybody who's not named Matt Klentak is a huge fan of my book. But I think that's all I got. I mean, I'm trying to think. Let's see. Maybe some other needs the Phillies have to do. You have Rhys Hoskins, who is an ARB guy who's on the last year. You have Nola's on the last year of his contract. Do you extend a contract to Nola? If you do, what does that deal look like? I would look to the Carlos Rodon contract, 5 years, 165 with the or excuse me, it was 6 years, 165. I would look for a similar deal to that. I don't know what the AAV would be for a guy like Nola, but I think signing Nola, if I had to pick professional over here, if I had to pick between the two, I would rather extend Nola than extend Hoskins. I like Hoskins a lot, but he's going to be demanding a lot of money, and I don't know if the Phillies are going to pay him. It's hard to, yes, the bad times are really bad, but Rhys Hoskins is a damn good baseball player. He has an 800 OPS almost every season, 30 home runs, X amount of doubles. Yes, he strikes out a ton, but he also gets on base a ton. Like, everybody loves him in Philly, and he's a homegrown guy. So how can you not love him? I don't know how much a Hoskins extension would look like. My guess is 100 plus would be my guess, but I don't know. And it's weird to say, but after this season, depending on what they do at first base, if they sign Hoskins, if they don't, every position in the entire field is locked up. Realmuto locked up, Stott locked up, Turner locked up, Bohm locked up, Schwarber locked up, Marsh locked up, Castellanos locked up, Harper locked up. So there's not a lot of holes offensively that need to be filled. If you decide to move off Hoskins, then, what do you do then? Do you move Bohm to first? Do you put in Sosa at third? Maybe. We don't know. But I think signing Nola, should be the priority over signing Hoskins. Nola's Mr. Consistency. He's going to take the ball for 31, 32 starts a year. He's going to give you 200 innings. He's going to be great. I think prioritizing giving him an extension sooner rather than later should be something that Dave Dombrowski and Sam Fuld talk about. I don't want him hitting free agency just because I think we might be able to get him for a little cheaper if we sign him before the year rather than try to get him back in free agency. So I think that's something that the Phillies should do. Other moves, the one move I was a little upset about, because it was a guy I kind of wouldn't mind, especially for the amount of money, but Brad Boxberger went to the Cubs 1 year, like $2.5 million. I would have loved, I'm not loved, but like, I feel like that's a guy the Phillies could have afforded and he would have been fine. Like, I don't know what Dombrowski's plan is to build a bullpen because we're still missing a couple pieces. I don't know if there's trades that, I don't know if he has any trades for a starter. I don't know, like, kind of where do the Phillies go from here? I really don't know. The rotation seemingly is set. I think they should try to get another starter, whether it's via trade or looking internally. Do you stick with Bailey Falter, Andrew Painter as a 5? Do you try to trade for a low end guy? I don't know, really. Dave Dombrowski loves his aces. I think. Who do you trade for? I don't know. That's for another podcast. That's for the off-season podcast that might be coming soon. But the Phillies right now, they're a good ball club on paper right now. Right now, as I'm talking on December 19th. They're a winning team, and we'll see where they go. Who knows, But that's going to do it for me today. Hopefully I can figure out the editing thing. There might be something new. I'm not going to say what it is in case it doesn't work, but if it does work, then I will mention it in the comments and mention it on Instagram. But if it doesn't work, you never heard this. But I think that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll be back soon. Me and Will Core have been talking about doing off season kind of in general, not just the Phillies one, but an off season for baseball in general, which is something that'll be interesting. I have another guest that I've been wanting on for a while. Not Garrett Stubbs. It's not Garrett Stubbs. It's Settle Down. It's one of my friends from college. We've been talking about getting together for a podcast, so I'm going to reach out to him and we'll have an episode coming talking about whatever. But thank you guys again so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.